start by wishing you a very happy New Year. What better way to start the year than with this important gathering? The Attorney General mentioned that when you come here, when you have got your holiday, I'm sure your family wants to be with you, and it shows also is an indication of the commitment, not only at the highest level here, but also the commitment that is in each one of you. Unlike you all, I had the privilege of having looked at the action plan. And yesterday I was reading it. I was mighty impressed, first with the vision that has gone into it, and I was really have to congratulate you all for that, but also with the practical steps that you have put in place in this action plan to make it a workable, a deliverable plan. I must again congratulate you for that. And again, what better gift to give for the new year to children than this? I've heard about you, Mr. Fernando, about the fact that you made this as your personal commitment, but it was so obvious here that you were looking beyond the numbers. It's not only the one child being caught in the corridors of the justice for years, but putting a face under that child. And as Mrs. Kamaluni was saying, you hear about the child, a 9 years old boy being raped, or you hear about when the very people, the very environment that's supposed to be protecting the children, they become the worst violator. Then you can't see it as a case. You can't say there are 5 cases waiting on the pipeline. You have to see beyond those, every single one of those cases, a child that his life is being probably changed forever. We in UNICEF are with you. We are committed to deliver, to do our utmost to deliver, to support you in delivering what you have put in the work plan and achieving the noble cause that you have put for yourself. Certainly, justice for children for us in UNICEF is a global priority everywhere, in every country we work, and is the principle of the Convention on the Rights of a Child and the best interest of the child that drives it. That's the child that's at the center of everything when we do this. And in Sri Lanka, of course, in addition to the Convention on the Rights of a Child and the visions that you all have here, it's also driven by some of the work that some of the colleagues, some of your own learned people have done, like the report on juvenile justice law report by Justice Shivani Tilakwarnane. Like you, we in UNICEF are committed to do our utmost in supporting you in your effort to reform the justice for children. For far too long, the children, be it as a victim or those who have done minor crimes, have been kept at the margins of the justice system. And by this, the best interest of the children has totally been forgotten. I remember, Madam Attorney General, more than last year, no, actually the year before, because last year was 3 days before. I just come here, I went to attend a meeting again on the justice for children. Since at that time, I had little knowledge of how the justice system deals with the children, how fair they are to the children. So I used my experience of the previous duty stations that I've been in Turkey, Central Asia, in Africa, or in Asia. And I remember saying that, based on my experience back then, I find it that very often poor children, when they come to these corridors of the justice, to go there, situation here, given the country's history of commitment to the children, back from early 20th century, some of the policies, it would be different. But sadly, the more I learn from people like you, the more I read the reports, the more I read the cases, then I realize that this is probably as bad, if not worse, than many other countries that I've been. I would not have probably dared to say it so openly a year, 2 years ago, but when I hear you all saying this, it shows a level of commitment, but also a level of awareness, a level of awareness that we have to break that cycle. We can no more accept that average case of a child, this is one of among the studies that UNICEF has been helping with. According to study in Sri Lanka, 62 months, more than 5 years, between examining a child abuses victim and they're giving medical evidence in the court. This, we all agree, is far too long and a painful ordeal for a child to go through. I know this is not new to you all. You have all heard it, and you heard it so eloquently by the Attorney General and also Kamalini when he talked. But when you see that a case of a child that has been abused when he was at his, less than 10 years old, and then as a witness, it comes when he's 21 years old, 22 years old, it comes to give testimony, hers or his testimony 22 years old. Then you wonder whether this system is really doing justice, whether the name justice actually applies to those children. So for us, again, seeing this work plan, seeing the level of commitment, seeing the system that we have already put in place, seeing where you have come over the past 18 months or so, it's an encouragement, and also it's an indication that yes, like many other things that in this country has happened, and they have given a head start to children, yes, Sri Lanka is capable to give justice to children. And I am looking forward to the October date. We also have to, I've heard, when I read the reports, when I go out and I see the children, when I see the cases, when I see a case of a child that has been done minor crimes, and they're caught into the web of a justice, criminal justice, and literally the life has changed. Either they have been kept away from their home, and they are deprived of their education, they are deprived of parental care, or they are waiting for trial in a remand home for a minor crime that they have done. And I'm sure you have heard cases of people who are stealing a loaf of bread. 6 months they've been kept in a place, and the parents have not seen the parents. Now, for these children, we have to look into the other options. We have to look into the diversion so that they don't come through the criminal justice. A couple of days ago, with the colleagues, I said, look, you tell me about all these bottlenecks in the justice system, whether it is during the investigation, doing the reports, all that. But if it is one issue that you say is the biggest bottleneck, the biggest obstacle to giving a good justice, a fair justice to the children, what would be? And his word was a mindset. A mindset that, children case like themselves is small. They are the past, in the work which very much relates to the work that we are talking right now, bringing the issue of child abuse and violence, victims of the sex, incest, up on the open, put it on the, bring it out of the shadow, and put the spotlight on it, so that the culture of silence is broken, and it does that culture of silence that gradually tend to become a culture of acceptance that has been shaken and that has been broken. And I think that's the kind of a mindset that we are talking. We are fortunate that we have the commitment at the highest political possible that one could get. And we have been discussing with His Excellency the President's office. We are in the process of preparing a national campaign on awareness meeting of the child abuse and particularly sexual abuse and physical abuse. And we are hoping that by bringing these pieces together, first of all, we break the culture of silence. People do not accept it anymore. But at the same time, we prevent cases of violence so that there would be less cases coming to the justice, to the system. So let me end by once again thanking you for all the great work, for your hard work, for your commitment to the Attorney General's office, to the Ministry of Justice, to the Solicitors of Solicitor General, and all of you for a steadfast commitment, for your willingness to go that extra mile to give their children their childhood back. Because for these children, the more stay in this system, the damages will be more irreversible, and they cannot be a citizen, a productive citizen of this country, and I'm sure nobody wants that.